Thank y'all for coming out tonight or this evening and listening to my speech on caffeine. Okay, each morning you get up, you need to get going. It's hard sometimes to get up, so what do? Well, if you're like most Americans, you consume some type of caffeine, whether it be coffee, and you need something to give you that extra push just to get yourself awake. You have a lot going on in your life if you're like most people, and you got to stay alert all throughout the day. Like if you're in school, you've got work you got to do, you've got homework, you've got so much activities, clubs, and things that you've just got to be awake for, and you've got to be there and be at attention a lot. Or if you're at work, or if you do school and work, you've really got to be on your toes, because you're paid to work, so you've got to stay awake. You can't be sleeping. So therefore, that could be you need something to keep going. Well, and then the end of the day comes. So if you're like me, I know sometimes I work really hard, and like I get tired, and I just want to kind of chill out on the couch and watch some TV. Well, I remember when in school, you get to watching that TV show, and then there's another TV show, and then another, and then you just stay up all night, and where's the time gone? And then you got school at 8 o'clock in the morning. So there's another example. Well, the weekend's approaching, and you think, okay, I can rest. Well, not all the time. Who wants to sleep all the time anyways, this is the only time that you can do something for yourself that you enjoy doing. And, usually it's planned full with people, your friends and family, and lots of activities to do. So there's not a lot of rest to be had on the weekends. Not only have I been interested in caffeine before before me and my husband became pregnant, because when we found out, we were learning about everything, and it's amazing the effects that it has on your body. But only just because I've had personal experience with it, and it gave me, just all kinds of bad headaches, and it's just can be awful if it's overused. The overuse of caffeine consumption is a serious problem in today's society, especially when it's used over a prolonged time. In order to understand coffee and its effects it has on the body, we need to look at the definition of caffeine, the impact it has on our bodies, and how to replace this product in everyday life, or slow down on using it. Caffeine is a drug that stimulates the central nervous system. It gives the user a boost of energy really quick. You don't have to, like for instance, if you don't get the adequate amount of sleep every night, you can take some caffeine and get like a 3-hour, rush, and you're good to go for 3 or 4 hours, but just for 3 or 4 hours. Also, caffeine is used in many products. I was kind of surprised at how much stuff it's in foods that we consume. It's in coffee, of course, and even decaf. It has quite a bit of amount of caffeine in it. It's in teas like green tea, black tea, and good old sweet tea. Soft drinks, energy drinks, of course. It gives you that energy. And any type of chocolate, which is I love chocolate, so that's a big problem for me. But, and also over-the-counter drugs. I did not know that. It's in like Excedrin, Midol, Bayer, and pain relievers like headache relievers, especially in headache medicines. Caffeine has many harsh side effects if overused. It can cause nervousness, anxiety, and even insomnia, which I remember I could drink a cup of coffee in the day and couldn't sleep at night, and it was awful. It really affected me, so I stopped using it, needless to say, except when I get that coffee craving sometimes. It also causes frequent urination, which can lead to dehydration, which if you're not replenishing your body with liquids can be a very serious problem. And also using caffeine daily causes dependence. Just that small cup, usually an 8-ounce cup of coffee, you can get hooked on it, especially, say for instance, this is a personal example, if you're a college student, I know, you've got these big tests. Usually it's like a week full of tests that you've got to be prepared for, and you've got to be on your toes, one right after the other sometimes. Well, usually you don't get a lot of sleep. I know I've heard that through so many people. So you got to keep up with it. Well, you stay up all night studying, cramming. Well, sometimes you need something to keep you up. So you get a Coke, or you get some coffee, or, chocolate, something like that, just to keep you alert and so you can study. Well, then the next morning you gotta get up, you got an 8 o'clock exam. So to get yourself awake because you stayed up late last night, you've got to get something to get you going and get you back up, So you drink coffee or a Mountain Dew or something like that and get you going. And well, then you get through the test, and if you're like me, you get jittery because this caffeine's flowing through your body, and I'll explain why that is later, why it does that. It makes you all jittery, but also you have that crash. You get, and by lunchtime, you're thinking, I'm dead, I've got to have something. So you get another Mountain Dew. It just keeps going. It's just a vicious cycle, as you can tell. And it's really hard to stop, as I'll explain later. Caffeine also has health problems. It causes bone loss, miscarriages, which was, I found out when like I said, when we found out we were pregnant. I mean, you don't want anything to harm that baby. I'm thinking, it causes miscarriages? Wow, that's pretty big. Heart palpitations. Like I said, when it makes you jittery, it increases your blood flow, which makes your heart have to work harder for the rest of your body, because your body's, you're ready to go. You can run a marathon right now, and you just get your heart pumping. It also can cause depression and chronic insomnia. Now that we have a better understanding of how caffeine affects everyday life, school, and the workplace, let's look at more of its effects on the body. Caffeine is a drug that the majority of Americans live their life from day to day on. It alters the brain's natural state. I didn't know this. This is a good information thing I found from a study. According to the study, caffeine is considered most commonly used psychoactive drug in the world. It's used by 80% of the population. And, I thought, wow, that's a lot of people. But you think about, it's in things that you don't even know it's in. And you're dependent on that, I remember I had to go every day and have some kind of chocolate. I mean, you just can't live without it. People reliant on caffeine do not know how to function when the drug is not present in their body. It's just like a heroin addict. And that's according to the study that National Geographic did in 2005. Or researchers did this for National Geographic. They compared a heroin addict to a caffeine user, and stated that it definitely takes over a person's body and mind, which is a psychological disorder. Because, pretty much like a heroin addict needs that heroin, the caffeine user needs that caffeine, or they can't function. So I was like, wow. I mean, of course it's on a smaller amount. It's not as severe as heroin, but it's still a drug. Also, the withdrawal symptoms, which I remember very well from coming, especially even when I have a little bit of caffeine, I get, it's awful. I mean, the headaches are most common. You get fatigue, you get drowsy, depression, irritability, difficulty in concentration, and even flu-like symptoms, including nausea, muscle pain, and stiffness. Now with the knowledge of how caffeine affects the body, let's look at how we can substitute this drug with healthier options. I know it's, you can't exactly go, some people can't really go cold turkey, because that brings on, especially if you're a huge user of caffeine, it really another study that I was reading about, it said that, people had to miss work because they couldn't function. I mean, they were so sick, they thought they had the flu, actually they're just getting all caffeine. So, it's just awful sometimes. Having other options and practices on how to stay alert and awake is very important. Getting off that and just teaching your body just to wake up. Studies show that getting on a regular sleep schedule and getting adequate amounts of sleep per night can make you feel better without any caffeine. So definitely get more sleep is the first and foremost thing you should do. Take time out for yourself throughout the day to relax. Take your lunch break and just kind of chill. Or if you can slip a nap in there, that'll really give you a boost of energy too. So, and also just don't overload yourself with a million and one things to do in a day. You're one person and you can only do a few things at a time. So just don't overload yourself, and keep that in mind when you're planning your day. Also, this was pretty interesting. Light helps you wake up better than caffeine does. So if you can wake up, you know, it's kind of, when I was talking about this, it's kind of like Cinderella going to the, you know, like, oh, what a beautiful day, you know, and things like that. But it really works. It really does. I actually did that this morning, so it really does work. And also, if you're going to consume caffeine, do it responsibly. You know, every once in a while, treat yourself. You know, those frozen things or frozen drinks from Starbucks are awesome. And so, you know, treat yourself. It's good to have a little bit of caffeine every once in a while. Well, I really, you know, we've explored caffeine and the effect it has upon the body, along with everyday life, and how to stop and have better options. I hope you have a better understanding of caffeine, and so you can take better care of your body and know what it really does to you. So, thank you all very much, and I appreciate your attention.